All right, it's time for another coffee break. 5 things you should know. And today we're going to talk about bonuses or raises. So, woohoo, extra money. We like that. And this is a big question I get from people. What should I do with my bonus or with my raise? And here's some ideas of what you can do with it. Now, just as a reminder, what is our coffee break. Well, coffee break is made for 401k participants or people who are eligible for 401ks. And it's a great way to just have a peek at some strategies that maybe can help you in the future. They're supposed to be short and sweet. You should be able to drink a cup of coffee while you're watching this and be done, and the video will be done, right? That's the whole idea. Now, today we're just going to cover highlights. So if you have a personal question of like, which order should I do this in or anything like that, there will be a QR code at the end of the video, and you can just set up a time, 15 minutes just to chat, and we can give you a little bit more personalized advice on things if we can get the right information from you to be able to do that. So, who is we? Why do I keep saying we? Well, I am Lisa Sakai. My business partner is Christopher Whalen. We are One Vision Retirement. We're the advisors for our firm. And as you can see, we've been in the industry quite a while. I work more on the personal side. Chris tends to do a lot more on the business side. So it's nice because we have both perspectives. I understand how the employees can work with the benefits, and he works a lot with business owners to help implement these things for the employees. Plus, he works with a lot of employees too, who have questions on the plans that he's monitoring, et cetera. So we have a lot of experience helping you through all these questions when it comes to your planning and how your benefits work with the planning. Even if we're not the advisors on it, we still have a general idea, and we can help you figure out the answers with help from HR and other resources, right? All right, so let's get started. The first place that I would say you'd want to check to see if it needs to get refilled is the emergency fund. Now, not all of what I'm going to say has to be done in this order, but I would say for probably a good majority of people, checking to make sure your emergency fund is filled to where it needs to be is really important. We just went through the holidays, taxes are happening, things like that. You are going to want to make sure that your emergency fund is filled to what it needs to be. And that's typically 3 to 6 months of expenses in a bank account someplace. Bank account, high yield savings, something that you can have access to that's liquid. So check your emergency fund, make sure that it's at the level that you want. Obviously, if you got a bonus or a lump sum of something, that's a lot easier to, catch up. If you get a raise and it's like $100 per paycheck, then you would take that $200 per month, typically, right? We have some months that there are 3 paychecks, but let's just say 2 months or 2 paychecks a month. So you'll take that $200 and put it into the savings account that you have your emergency fund in until you get to the point that you don't need to save anymore in there. You've hit your goal. And then you can look at one of these other choices to do that. But keeping that emergency fund to the brim is really important. It's okay to use it, but you just have to remember how to refill it too. Okay, so that would be the first place I would tell any client or anybody to go to. Most likely, there's probably some outstanding circumstances, of course, but that would be, really a good place to start. All right, so number 2 is maxing out retirement investing. Now, your 401k for 2023 is done. You cannot say, well, I only put in 16,000. Can I put in another 4,000 for 2023? No, it's over. You can't do that. The money has to be in there by 12/31/2023 to count for that year. But there are a couple things you could do. One is you could take a look at how much are you contributing to your 401k now and say, maybe I want to bump that up for this year, especially if you got a raise or something like that makes it a little easier. So you could do that. If you're maxing out your 401k or you've decided you don't want to put all your savings in the 401k, maybe you do up to the match or something like that. We've done videos on that in the past. So feel free to take a look at those and see if that works for you. Then you might want to go to your Roth IRA. A lot of people are still at that 6,000 number because it was easy, $500 a month in your Roth. So that gives you a good $1,000 to be able to put extra in your Roth. IRA if you're eligible for it. Maybe your spouse doesn't have a Roth. Maybe that would be a good place to put it. So there are other retirement accounts you could look at to try to start saving for retirement. And there are other accounts in general you can put in. You could start contributing to a brokerage account, an individual or trust account, which is, what a brokerage account is. You could be saving to other places. So thinking about long-term savings is another area you can definitely take that bonus or that raise and go to there and do that. Now, a lot of people will say number 3 is where you should go to first before that. I have a difference of opinion for most people. Obviously, it's not the majority. Your individual circumstances are yours, and I wouldn't say a generic anything to anybody. But a lot of people say, "Oh, throw it at debt." I think that a lot of times we need to have a balance. We need to have the emergency fund, of course, and in saving for the future helps you build while you're paying down debt. So you're building on your net worth on both sides. Net worth is assets minus liabilities. So you're bringing down your liabilities while you're building up your assets. And it helps you keep motivated, but it also helps you from getting into debt again because you're already putting in some of those saving strategies in place so that now you know where to save to once the debt's paid off, hopefully soon, right? But depends on what type of debt, depends on how much debt. Sometimes I do tell clients just take the whole thing and pay off some of the debt because the interest rate's too high or something like that. But it would just depend on what to do. A lot of people say, should I throw it into the house? Well, let's take a look at that. Let's do a calculation and see, does it actually bring the number of years down on paying into the house? What is your interest rate on the house? There's a lot of different things to go into it. So everybody thinks just throwing in a debt is the first place you should go. I think that there's a lot of different circumstances where you do pay off some debt, but maybe you put it some other places as well. So it's just a balancing act. As you know, that's kind of the way I look at planning. All right, number 4 is much more fun. What's a bucket list item that you wanted? Let's say you're on track for your goals, you're saving to retirement, your debt's paid off, all that stuff. What's something that maybe you've been wanting to do for a while? Is it going to Greece, like the picture? Is it buying a Ferrari? Is it something like that? Maybe this would be a great bonus or some raise, money that you get from your raise to start putting away for some of those bigger things that you want to do so that you're actually able to go to Greece and not keep talking about it and not doing it. I am a big believer in that we have to live our lives and prepare for the future. There is a balance that you can make happen there. And maybe this would be great seed money to start saving for those bucket list items. So Greece is someplace I'd like to go back to. So that's why I chose that picture. But maybe it's Fiji. Maybe it's have retiring your mom, giving to charity, whatever that bucket list item is. That might be a good thing to start looking at. The other thing sounds boring, but a lot of people still don't know about these, is just putting into a high yield savings account. Let's say you don't really have a bucket list thing that you want to do yet. Debt's paid off, emergency fund is filled, we're on track for retirement. I don't really want to put in one of those, but I want it to be liquid because I might need it in 6 months, let's say, or a year. Then I would say put it into a high yield savings account. NerdWallet has a great monthly review of all the rates that are out there. If you just go put in high yield savings account in NerdWallet and Google or Bing or whatever you use, you'll find it there. It gives you all the different types out there. We don't recommend one over the other. It's really up to personal choice. But a high yield savings account is doing quite good things right now. With the higher interest rates, it's providing a higher interest rate on your money. And so it might be a good place just to put your money into. Kind of funny story. We were sitting with a banker at one of the big banks the other day, and she kind of nodded when we said, we don't keep most of our money at the bank because of the low interest rate when we can get a high yield savings account someplace else. And she's not, and she says, that's most of what's happening right now. We don't see huge, deposits and money just sitting here anymore because of that. So take advantage of this because they're not always going to be this high. Once the Fed starts lowering their rates, the rates will drop because they're not guaranteed rates. So it still might be a good place to take a look at if you're just not quite sure what to do with it, but you know that those other options don't really make sense anymore. Okay, so in review, pay yourself first. As I said, it's not just throwing it at debt. You do want to have that balance of also making sure you're saving some of it for the future. That helps you get out of debt a little faster and stay out of debt much longer. Try to avoid lifestyle drift. I've talked about this in other videos, not necessarily here on the coffee breaks, but we have tons of other videos on the YouTube channel, so I'm sure you could find it. And if you don't, just email me and I'm happy to find it and send it to you. But essentially, lifestyle drifts a really big thing. We talk about just make more money and have no more problems. But what ends up happening is, let's say you make 100,000 and you get a $20,000 raise, which would be an amazing raise, obviously. But let's say you get a promotion or something like that, and so you make 120,000. People tend to start to live up to that 120,000 and their expenses start to go up instead of that extra 20,000. Pre-tax, of course, that extra 20,000 going into savings or going into, strategies or trips that you are planning out, that you have a strategy for, so that that trip doesn't necessarily cause a huge credit card bill that you can't pay off right away. Things like that. Use that money strategically when you get that, and don't let lifestyle drift happen, because lifestyle drift is just mindless. You're not in control of your money then. And really take control of your money and decide how you want to use it in the best way possible. Because if for some reason you get demoted or they can't afford to pay you that amount anymore, now you've got to figure out how you're going to live off of $120,000 lifestyle off of $100,000 again. Nobody wants to go through that. Investing in the future will mean, your extra money is going to do more than present value. So find a way to make sure that your money is making some money for you. And even if you're paying off debt, that is going to be in the long run helping you make money in the future, because you won't have that debt payment anymore. So make sure that you're really concentrated, instead of going off and buying some jewelry or something like that, just kind of mindless, or going on a shopping spree because you can. Really start to really think about, how is this going to help me in the future? So that in a year from now, I'm even happier with this choice than I am today. And you can see plenty of other videos, like I said, on the coffee break, on our videos here on YouTube. So last but not least, if you still have questions, if you're not quite sure what you should be doing, just want to have an accountability partner, or just want to bounce some ideas off of us, we are happy to do that. You use that QR code, you'll open up the camera app, place it on the, basically focus the QR code in there, and the link will pop up for you to schedule a call. It's about 15 minutes. You can email us. You'll get a hold of both me and Chris through info@onevisionretire.com. Check out our website. Check out me on LinkedIn. I'm very involved over there. And I hope you got some value out of this. And now you have a plan of what to do with your bonus money or your raise. And you can just keep redoing this every year when you get that raise. Hopefully you're getting a nice raise every year. So from us to you, we here at One Vision Retirement are here to help. So we are here to help make sure that your retirement is in 2020 vision.